wow, she's beautiful.
He's a pedophile.
I knew I was in deep.
But he's not a monster.
Fallen for the girl. The last thing I wanted to do was hurt her.
That's right. This is Salon.
I took on a regular babysitting gig.
Being edgy.
5. She was a precocious girl.
He took on...
She was advanced for her age. She was also very independent.
A babysitting gig.
A lot of my fantasies actually revolve around little girls who are in some way more powerful than I am.
He took on
Eventually,
a babysitting gig knowing that he had this
became,
tendency.
Overwhelming to the point I had to go relieve myself in the bathroom. That's when I had to leave town. And
by the way, we all understand.
I didn't abuse her.
We all understand. Relieve myself in the bathroom. We know exactly what he was doing.
Her because I knew the harm that it could cause. Also, remembering the fact that I was abused, it probably contributed to my own sexuality developing. I have never sexually...
It also contributed to his own sexuality developing. This is the same language that homosexuals use. And I am not comparing homosexuality at all to pedophilia. I am actually comparing homosexuality to pedophilia only in the sense that the pedophiles will use the same type of language, the same type of justification that the homosexuals use to justify their lifestyles being thought of as being normal. But there's one huge difference between the homosexual and the pedophile. The homosexual has a tendency to want to act in a way that involves a consenting act with another adult. I do not approve of the state trying to force acceptance of homosexuality, but homosexuality and pedophilia are very, very different things. Homosexuals should be tolerated. You live your life, you choose your life, however you want to do it, so long as you're not harming others. Homosexuals, they can absolutely do that. Pedophiles cannot live their life fully unless they harm others.
Abused a child, and I never will. Now, I've gotten to know a lot of pedophiles online. My sense is that we're a much larger group than society actually thinks we are. The terms pedophile and child molester are used interchangeably. Now, this is wrong. A pedophile is, strictly speaking, somebody who has a sexual attraction to children. It's important to realize that not all pedophiles are child molesters, and not all child molesters are pedophiles. When I first told all of my family, they had a hard time dealing with it. They had a hard time reconciling what they knew about me versus what they thought they knew about pedophiles.
And there you could replace the word pedophiles with homosexual, and you can hear how they are using the exact same language that the homosexuals were using when they were fighting for their, I would say, to a certain degree, their fight was justified, and they were fighting for tolerance. I draw the line at being coerced into feeling like I need to accept their lifestyle. I don't need to accept anyone's lifestyle, but I, as a person of liberty who believes in true liberty, I believe we are compelled to tolerate others' lifestyles so long as they don't harm others, while this pedophile is talking about a lifestyle. In this case, it's pretty clear that his lifestyle choice, if he were to act on it, would harm others. He's talking about falling in love with a 5-year-old girl. What would that be like if he tried to engage in a relationship with a 5-year-old girl? And what happens if we normalize the pedophile and we say, okay, we're going to normalize the pedophile, but we're not saying that it's okay for pedophiles to have sexual relations with children? Well, then what's going to happen is you're going to start to look at the margins. That's what's going to happen first, the gray areas. And there are definitely gray areas. I could start with a very clear gray area. Okay. Do we arbitrarily define an age at which a human being can magically consent to sexual relations with another human being? I don't think that's really possible to do. So we do have a gray area. Is a 15-year-old of consenting age? Or can a 15-year-old consent to having a sexual relationship with someone else? Well, let's explore that. And we'll we'll break down that barrier, and then we'll go back a little bit deeper. Well, what about the 13-year-old? What about the 11-year-old? Well, what about the whole notion of sexuality? Is sexuality something that should only be reserved for adults? Is the fact that sexuality damages children when they're exposed to it early on, is that because of some biological element to us, or if you're religious, some spiritual element, or is it simply a product of the culture, and that if our culture changes, that we can all engage in healthy, happy sexual activity at a very young age? This is the road that you're going down. And this is why, for me, I have no acceptance, nor do I have any tolerance for anyone who wants to proclaim publicly that they're a pedophile, and for me to approve of them or to at least tolerate them.
I went through a severe bout of depression and social anxiety that lasted a few years. A lot of that was basically me coming to realize that I wasn't going to have a family. I wasn't going to fall in love with a woman and have a normal life. I'm resigned to the fact that, I'm basically going to spend the rest of my life alone. This is not something I chose. What person in their right mind would choose to be the most reviled sexuality in the world?
It's a sexuality? Again, I didn't choose this. This is absolutely the language that the homosexual used as they fought for their right to at least be tolerated by others, not persecuted because of their sexuality. And yes, I agree, they should absolutely not be persecuted for their sexuality. This is not sexuality. This is an unhealthy attraction to someone that you can dominate and control. This is not about pursuing a mutual exchange. I would say pedophilia, the very nature of pedophilia, in that you are creating and seeking an unbalanced relationship with another human being, in which you have all the answers, you have all the knowledge, you have all the experience to manipulate and control another human being, is anathema to true liberty. And for libertarians to even think about normalizing pedophiles who don't act on their pedophilia is to simply support the normalization of tendencies which are at their root fundamentally anti-liberty.
Purpose is basically to go out and educate people, allowing people like myself to express themselves, to come out and be open. Society makes it harder by persecuting us because a lot of us become fatalistic. We just start to think it doesn't matter what we do or say, they're going to hate us anyway. We need to find some kind of middle ground where...
So he's basically trying to blame society for the fact that pedophiles actually act on their pedophilia because we stigmatize them so. If you are a pedophile, there is absolutely no reason. If you're a pedophile and you know you have this tendency, and you know you have to not act on this tendency or else you will justifiably get seriously smacked down, I would tell you, do not believe that you will ever have a society, a liberty-loving society, will never embrace, will never normalize someone who wants to seek to openly proclaim this anti-liberty tendency within them. No one will want to do business with you. No one will trust you. And that's as it should be. If you have this tendency inside you, then you need to seek whatever you need to seek to lessen the tendency, to make it less of a focus in your life, so that as much as possible you can live out true liberty. Because what you have inside of you goes against the very nature of liberty that has been planted inside of us from birth.